1. The two worst things that have ever happened to me in my life are: one was going on a research trip to Antarctica and getting left behind, with no one noticing I was missing. The other was being trapped in a tent with my longtime rival, Henry, forced to share warmth just to survive. Through the small window of the tent, the colorful auroras shimmered beautifully across the sky. The endless stars above left me breathless. Here I witnessed a beauty unlike anything I would ever known. The sudden drop in temperature made me shiver uncontrollably. Fortunately, the tent came with thermal blankets and other cold weather gear. I let out a quiet sigh. Of all people, why did I end up stuck with that guy outside? I looked over at Henry, sitting on the other side with his back turned, without a tent to shelter him. He was nearly frozen solid. I pushed down the old resentment and spoke up first. Henry's, come on in. We can warm up together. Henry stiffened for a brief moment, but still refused to back down. No way. I do not want to share a space with another man. My temper flared up instantly. To be honest, I was not really comfortable with it either. Henry has always been competing with me since we were kids, and somehow we have never managed to beat each other. We acted polite in front of our parents, but behind their backs, we would go all out to get the better of one another. I zipped up my sleeping bag and turned away from Henry without a word. Stubborn type, let's see who holds out longer. Your words or your resolve. I was just about to lie down when I heard Henry sneezing and coughing outside the tent. I originally tried to pretend I did not hear, but the sounds kept getting closer. Fed up, I crawled out and found Henry had moved much closer to my tent than before. I gave him a stern look.
Get in here now.
Henry did not argue this time, but once inside he kept his distance from me, looking like he was guarding against a thief. I was speechless. This whole situation all came from a joke I made in the past. Henry always seemed to be at odds with me, and one time he pushed me too far. I do not even know what came over me. I just went ahead and kissed Henry forcefully. I held him firmly against the wall, pressing my lips to his with intensity.
Try it again, and I will make you regret it.
It was the first time I would ever seen Henry, usually so cool and reserved, flee in panic. To be honest, I am not even sure I could win in a fight. But mental pressure is definitely easier than physical confrontation. After that, Henry kept his distance from me. I still remember the time when the sky outside the white teaching building was filled with a vast spread of sunset clouds. But Henry's face was even redder than those clouds, as if his ears were burning bright red. I huddled by myself, seeing Henry's guarded expression. But soon, the tent grew colder and the wind howled outside. It felt like ice chips were hitting my face. I could not help shivering and moved closer to Henry. I had no choice but to reach out, just to survive.
Henry, hug me. I am freezing.
Henry's expression was unreadable, but he did not pull away, hesitantly pulling me into his arms. He turned his head slightly, avoiding eye contact. I noticed the small gesture and thought to myself that Henry was surprisingly shy. No good. I am still freezing cold. I pointed at the blanket, looking utterly hopeful. Henry, would you please get under the covers with me? Just warm up the spot for me. Henry's face turned red again, and he cleared his throat. His voice was a little rough.
Okay.
Henry and I climbed into the bed together, and I felt completely safe nestled in his arm. But my competitive spirit made me keep my body straight, pressing my legs firmly against Henry. I wanted to see who had longer legs between us. I could not beat him in height, but I could at least compare our body proportions. Maybe he just has a long torso but short legs. Turns out, my legs were much shorter than his. I felt a bit disappointed and instinctively curled up. My knee accidentally brushed against Henry, and he let out a soft sound. His arm around me tightened instinctively, and those calm, Deep eyes locked onto mine. It felt as if staring too long would pull me under. Helplessly lost in the moment, Henry gently tapped my forehead.
Do not move around, do not do anything you will regret later.
I frowned. Confused regret, was he trying to scare me? I huffed and turned away. But Henry paused for just a moment before stepping close. He wrapped himself around me, pressing our bodies closely together. My body went rigid, too tense to move. The tent was quiet, and Henry's breath came slow and deep beside me. Our breaths formed white clouds that seemed on the verge of freezing. I could not help but rub my hands together, fingers stiff from the cold. Henry reached out and wrapped both of my hands in his, blowing warm breath to keep them from freezing. The warmth spreading through my palms made me surprisingly not resist him this time. After a long silence, I sighed while staring at my phone with no signal. "Oh, Henry, do you think we might not make it until help arrives? And end up staying here forever?"
We will make it.
Henry's voice was low and steady.
One of us will survive for sure.
I did not need to guess, there was no doubt he meant himself. Maybe he is waiting for me to give up, just so he can use the situation to stay alive longer. I was still freezing cold, and fear was starting to take over. I turned around and suddenly bumped into Henry's jaw. My forehead throbbed instantly, and Henry's cool hand brushed against it. "Are you okay? Why did not you say you were turning around?" I winced in pain but still held onto Henry tightly. He has always been smarter than me and comes up with more clever ideas. I had to rely on him. "Oh, Henry, do you have any way to keep us warm?" Henry's eyes flickered with hesitation for a brief moment, then settled on me with a quiet intensity. He hesitated before speaking. "There is a way, but it will need your cooperation." I nodded eagerly. "Of course I will cooperate, just tell me what to do." Henry looked at me, his gaze steady and focused, like a lone wolf sizing up its prey. "We will need to get close and hold on tightly. Our bodies naturally maintain warmth. Only by huddling close and covering ourselves with thick clothes and blankets can we stay warm." I hesitated for just a moment, then agreed without hesitation. I spoke up with some uncertainty.
What about you?
Henry lowered his gaze, as if deep in thought. After a short pause, he said,
I will do the same.
I immediately did what Henry said, but he was even quicker than me. There was an odd sense of urgency I could not explain. Henry gently pulled me into his arms. Our faces close, my forehead brushing against the top of his chin. My heart pounded fast and unevenly in my chest. Even my breathing became irregular, and I felt a little shy meeting Henry's gaze. He really was not lying. I was feeling much warmer now. To be honest, I could not help but feel the atmosphere had grown oddly strange. Drowsy and half-conscious, I gradually leaned against Henry's chest and fell asleep. 3. In the middle of the night, I woke up thirsty, remembering my water bottle was empty. I gently nudged Henry.
Are you asleep? I am really thirsty. Do you have something to drink?
Henry nodded, his voice low and slightly rough from sleep, yet still smooth and warm in a way that made the moment feel intimate. Oh yes, you can drink it now. It should still be a bit warm. I could not hold back my excitement.
Give it to me. Hurry.
He reached beside him and pulled out a thermos. I grabbed it eagerly and drank it all in one go. Waking up in the middle of the night, I found it hard to fall back asleep. I kept breathing out white mist and hugged Henry's waist a little at a time, feeling like we were almost one. Henry made a soft, unusual sound. I looked up, and he was back to his usual composed expression. After a long moment, Henry spoke.
There is another way to warm up quickly too.
I looked up at him, eyes shining with excitement. What other way is there? Cannot you just tell me everything at once? Henry's eyes lingered on my lips, And after a few seconds, his voice came out rough. I will show you. I was about to say something, but my words were cut off. Henry's cool lips brushed mine, and I froze in surprise. He was so sudden, though. Honestly, his eyelashes looked really long up close. No, I just realized. I pushed Henry away hard, my eyes wide open.
Henry, what are you doing? That was a kiss.
Henry smiled warmly, propping his head up as he looked at me, gently brushing his fingertip along my lips. What is the big deal? It was just necessary for survival.
Are not you the one who kissed me before we are even now?
Henry really does hold a grudge. I am not sure if I am imagining it, but I do feel a warm tingle on my skin. It feels like there is a draft from above. I cannot help but mutter while lying flat on my back. Henry moved closer, and we found ourselves face to face. Henry said seriously,
I will shield you from the draft above.
That actually worked, only I could not catch my breath. Henry did not respond, deliberately ignoring me. I struggled to breathe as time slowly passed. The temperature kept dropping, and I could feel Henry's body growing a little cold. I felt a bit guilty, making him endure the cold instead of me. It actually made me rethink Henry in a new way. Honestly, Henry was not exactly a good guy, but he did have a strong sense of responsibility. In such a life or death moment, he kept helping me stay warm. Back then, I used to call him brother and followed him around like a shadow for a while. I would always cling to him for hugs, and Henry would carry me wherever he went. Back then, Henry was well known in our courtyard as the top kid, fierce in fights and never one to follow rules. He had a sharp mind too, no other kids could match him. Whether it came to thinking things through or taking action. Henry really cared about me. He would always hold me up in front of the older kids as a way of showing off. One boy joked,
You spoil him so much, why do not you just treat him like your future partner, then no one else would be able to compete with you.
I was too young to understand back then. Clapping happily with drool on my face. Henry did not say a word to stop it, and even asked me if I was okay with it. I nodded happily, and Henry went ahead and bought a whole cartload of snacks and milk for me. He said seriously,
These are your gifts from me, what I am giving you as an engagement present. Every year, I will bring you something new. Once you take them, it is agreed you cannot change your mind later.
I jumped right into the pile of snacks and started eating with excitement. How could I possibly say no? After that, Henry actually kept bringing me different gifts every year. At first it was just snacks. Then came limited edition sneakers. And there were models, auction items, and sports cars, each year getting more valuable. That became something he could use against me. And ever since I grew up, I haven't accepted anything from him again. As I got older and entered my teenage years, I developed a strong sense of competition. I hated how people behind my back kept calling me Henry's little wife. I started to resent how Henry always acted like a brother, constantly telling me what to do and controlling my actions. He came off as overly serious for his age, like an old man in a young body. And Henry was extremely competitive too. We competed in grades, popularity, height, whatever he did. I had to do it too, whatever he had. I wanted it as well, but he always stayed ahead of me. My once wild and reckless personality became quiet and reserved instead. My parents praised him for being so much more mature, while saying I was immature and just causing trouble all the time. I did not want to admit it back then, but now looking back, it felt like I was the one acting unreasonable all along. Even during the study trip, Henry insisted on coming along just because he was worried about my safety. Then it hit me, Henry hasn't sent that gift this year yet. I am actually kind of curious now. But now, for the first time, I feel a little worried about Henry. He is stuck here because of me. After all, I noticed a dark shape outside the tent, resembling some unknown creature. I was trembling all over. What on earth could that be? I could not help letting out a cry, then quickly covered my mouth and kept pointing frantically at the shadow outside the tent. Henry, look up, what is out there? Henry finally looked away from his focus, his expression growing serious as he said, I will go check it out. Stay inside and stay safe. Fear and unease made me grip Henry's hand tightly, even though he could be stubborn when right. And I really did not like him. But as long as he stays by my side, my chances of getting through this are better. And I truly do not want anything bad to happen to him. Henry ruffled my hair and said, It is going to be all right. If I do not respond for a long time.
Wait until it is fully light. Then come out when you feel safe. If something happens to me, take my clothes and wear them. And if it is needed, my body can help you survive.
I was deeply shaken by Henry's words, and I kept questioning myself inwardly. Do I really hate him? Oh, I think it probably is not true. But I am just running away. What I am avoiding, I still do not have the answer to right now. The tent zipper slid open, and Henry disappeared from my view against the bright light. Only a faint image of him smiling remained, leaving me dazed for a moment. The next moment I reached out to touch. The zipper was pulled shut. I waited for a long time, but there was absolutely no sound outside. I bit down on my wrist in anxious worry, the unease nearly overwhelming me. By the time I realized it, I found myself already crying uncontrollably. I called out hesitantly,
Henry, Henry, are you still there?
I called out many times with no answer, and I began to fear that Henry might be in danger. I got my gear ready and grabbed a stick, determined to face the unknown creature outside. Even if I die, I will bring Henry's body back with me. If I make it out alive, I will make sure he gets a proper burial. I will guard his grave for the rest of my life. I gathered my courage, zipped open the suit, and dashed out, waving the stick frantically.
Henry, I am here to save you.
The air was still. No animal roars, but strange sounds filled the silence. I opened my eyes and saw Henry lying on the ground, with several penguins curiously gathered around him. The sight before me left me deeply moved, an endless ocean stretching as far as the eye could see. The glacier stretched endlessly, and the icebergs stood out brilliantly under the golden sunlight. Rising above the sea surface, they looked like delicate natural sculptures made of crystal. Through cracks in the ice, emerald-colored water could be seen slowly flowing beneath, as if opening a gateway to another world. Countless penguins waddled across the icy surface. They moved in large groups, sliding into the sea one after another like falling dumplings. I did not see any other large animals around, and I was so frustrated it felt like my eyes were burning red. Henry, why are not you saying anything? Henry gave me a quieting gesture with his finger to my lips. After a long while, he slowly stood up and carefully stepped back away from the penguin group. He walked over to me, adjusted my goggles properly, then finally spoke in short breaths. Penguins do not usually start trouble, but that does not mean they cannot cause harm. When they feel threatened, their sharp beaks can pierce the skin and cause serious injury. I fell silent right away, staring at the cute penguins, so easy to forget how dangerous they truly are. I turned around and saw a pink patch on Henry's shoulder, and could not help but laugh out loud. Oh, Henry, you have got, something big stuck to your shoulder from those penguins. Henry sighed in resignation, then stepped away from the penguin group and went to the water's edge to rinse off quickly. After the laughter faded, a deep sense of despair and helplessness settled over him. The sea surface was covered in floating ice, and there was no path in sight that led anywhere. There are many animals in Antarctica more dangerous than penguins. And the ocean below is likely even more daunting. I let out a long sigh.
Henry, I think we might never be able to leave this place.
Henry put his arm around my shoulder and gave me a reassuring pat.
It is all right. We will make it day by day.
Knowing I am with you at the very end of life, I would feel truly content. My face turned bright red, and I acted like I did not hear a thing. I turned my head away deliberately, trying to ignore Henry's intense gaze. My stomach growled, and I frowned.
I am so hungry. Henry, do we still have any food?
Henry pulled out several fish and shrimp from his pocket, and I was stunned. Wait, when did you go fishing? Henry pointed to the penguin nearby, which was watching us closely. It gave them to me. At that moment, my gaze toward the adorable penguin was filled with gratitude. If I ever get back, I am definitely going to build a statue for that penguin and keep it as a tribute. I will also donate to campaigns protecting Antarctic wildlife and penguins. Looking at the slippery fish, I just did not know how to start eating it. Henry crouched down, shaping a lens from ice to focus sunlight and ignite a fire. Then lit his cotton cloth and paper with the flame. He also searched around and dragged over a seabird's remains, scooping out the fat to extract oil in a small pot. I stayed crouched beside him. Watching every move closely, Henry was truly impressive. His eyes were lowered as he carefully worked on the fat, long lashes clung with frost, casting a soft shadow beneath his eyes. A perfectly sculpted profile, frost tracing down from his nose to his lips. He never showed any sign of panic the entire time. Henry was always like this, like he could handle anything, with a calmness and confidence most people could not match. Except when he was around me, I somehow always brought out more expressions than usual on his usually unreadable face. Actually, Henry is quite a good guy. It was not until the grilled fish and shrimp were placed in front of me that my hungry stomach could no longer resist the delicious food. I quickly began eating heartily, taking big bites, and Henry could not help but smile slightly. All right, I will not take it from you, go ahead and eat at your own pace. I passed some meat to Henry, and we shared the meal together. After we would eaten our fill, Henry wrapped up the leftover oil in a cotton cloth for safekeeping. Henry and I sat on the icy shore, gazing out at the sea ahead. A massive wave surged across the water, and Henry quickly pulled me back, holding me close in his arms. A whale leapt from the sea, an awe-inspiring sight that left us breathless. Following behind were two more whales, one large and one small, rising gracefully above the water's surface. The sea surged upward, shooting out a towering column of water that was truly breathtaking. No wonder there is a saying that when a whale dies, life blooms anew. Humans appeared small and helpless in the face of nature and these enormous creatures. Henry's calm voice came through.
This is a humpback whale, with black coloring and patterns on its back, and a white underside.
Humpback whales are known for their loyalty and love and live monogamously. If one partner is lost, the other will choose to live alone for the rest of its life. I was stunned and turned to look at Henry. It felt as though I could see the affection hidden deep within him. Even through his goggles, his bangs fluttered in the cold wind, and his coat rustled loudly around him. The world seemed to fall silent at that moment, leaving only the sound of our heartbeats. White seabirds behind Henry flapped their wings and soared into the sky in an instant, like hundreds of origami cranes. I felt nervous and did not know what to say. After a long silence, I was just about to speak when I heard a cracking sound nearby. That cracking noise grew closer, and Henry suddenly shoved me hard. I staggered backward several steps before falling onto the ice. A crack appeared in the ice, and a fissure ran through the spot where we had just been standing. Below might be an unfathomable ocean floor, Or perhaps a frozen underground realm. I lunged forward and grabbed Henry's hand tightly, shouting with all my strength.
Henry, give me your hand.
I struggled forward with everything I had and finally reached Henry's hand. The loud noise startled the birds and penguin flock, and the flying birds kept pecking at my face with their beaks. The sharp pain only made me more alert. Henry removed his goggles, his gaze heavy and solemn. Daniel, I haven't called you by your name in such a long time, it feels strange to say it now. I do not know why you have suddenly turned against me, or what I might have done wrong. But I just want you to know deep down, I truly, deeply care about you. The story of the humpback whale was my way of telling you how I feel. It turns out, my words came true in the end. Daniel, let go of me. Please live on, just keep living. 7. I shook my head frantically, tears pouring out.
No, if you let go, I will hate you for the rest of my life.
Henry gave a faint smile and slowly unclenched his gloves.
You never really liked me, did you?
Henry's hand slipped from my grip, and I reached out to catch it. All I could think was, if he is gone, what is the point of me still being here? An overwhelming sorrow filled me, as though my heart were torn apart. My very soul trembled with the weight of it. I fell to my knees in despair, crying out,
I love you, I have always loved you. I was just afraid of being turned down. Afraid we would never make it to the end. Henry, I am sorry. I am so sorry.
I leaned forward, but someone grabbed me firmly by the arm. A group of foreign visitors, likely part of a research team from Antarctica. I pointed toward the ice crack, pleading with them to help save someone. But they did not understand me and dragged me away in the distance. No matter how hard I struggled, the mental shock and tense nerves made my vision go black. I lost consciousness. When I came to, a foreigner handed me food and hot water. I was now in a warm little cabin, with frozen wilderness outside and what felt like rare comfort within, like a haven. The campsite where I had set up a tent with Henry was nowhere to be seen now. I did not know how far we would traveled. Thinking about Henry's dangerous situation, my face turned pale. I tried to run outside, but the man in front of me stopped me. I kept gesturing wildly.
My friend is trapped in a crevasse, he can only be saved by me. Please come with me to save him.
Every tear that spilled from my sore, swollen eyes brought sharp pain to my eyelids. Seeing he did not understand, I could no longer hold back my emotions and rushed blindly toward the exit. A man in a red work uniform stepped forward to stop me and calmed me down. Tell me anything you can, I speak Chinese. In that instant, I felt like I would found my final lifeline and gripped his hands tightly. Someone fell into a crevice in the ice right where you found me. Please, take me to help them. He placed a hand on my shoulder and said, Who is this person you are talking about? What is your connection to them? Memories of Henry flooded my mind. When I was a kid, he would proudly show me off everywhere, acting like I was his little wife. In high school, he was always by my side, and his blue and white uniform looked especially good on him. Throughout my student years, he acted like my protector, shielding me from every kind of trouble. In college, it was him riding his bike around me beneath the golden apricot trees. When I ran away from home and hid at a bus stop in the rain, it was he who stood under the umbrella for me. And in the tent, it was he who shielded me from the wind and held me close. It was him who confessed his feelings to me as seagulls flew overhead and whales sailed into the open sea. Countless moments played out like an old film that had lasted over a decade, repeating endlessly in my mind. And I was the only one watching and the last person still holding on to those memories. I collapsed to the ground, too weak to move, my sobs breaking through in quiet waves.
He is my beloved. Please hurry, save him. I would give anything to bring him back.
My voice suddenly faded, and the scientist before me stepped aside in silence. A light tap on my forehead made me look up in disbelief. Meeting Henry's calm, deep eyes, he gave a soft smile.
Daniel. What now? I am still here. You will never get away from me again from now on.
I clung to Henry, tears streaming down as I felt the warmth of his body at last. I finally believed that all of this was not just a dream. Without hesitation, I leaned in and kissed him. Tears slid down my lips, a bitter taste spreading through my mouth. Yet deep inside me, something long held back finally bloomed. Sweetness like ripe berries filled my heart. After a long moment, my voice was hoarse, and all I could see in my eyes was Henry's face. Henry, I love you. I never truly hated you, only now do I realize that nothing, not even separation by death, could ever pull us apart. No one, no matter what, will ever separate us again. Henry gently took my hand and laced his fingers through mine. He smiled warmly. All right, we will never be apart again. After hearing the explanation, I realized the staff had pulled me away to make room for rescue efforts. When I passed out, they managed to pull Henry up. Thankfully, he had been trapped in a narrow gap. If we would waited just a few more minutes, Henry might have suffered from extreme cold or been buried forever beneath the ice as it cracked again. Hearing that made my heart leap with sudden fear. I gripped Henry's hand tightly, afraid only by feeling the warmth of his palm could I truly calm down. The researcher who speaks Chinese learned about Henry and my story after talking with him. So he decided to gently test how I felt about Henry. My face turned red, and Henry lightly pinched my cheek, his eyes full of amusement.
If it were not for this dangerous situation, I do not know when I would have ever heard your true feelings. Maybe when we are both very old, I would still be chasing after you, asking if you would ever like me.
I felt a bit shy, and Henry and I were sent back home. Both sets of parents were extremely worried and scolded us harshly. Of course, my parents scolded me even more severely, because I was the one who brought Henry along. If something had really happened to Henry, my dad would have probably spent his whole life apologizing to the Ijai family. At the moment the belt was about to fall, Henry stepped in front of me and instinctively called out,
Dad, do not hit Daniels.
My dad did not react at first and just instinctively said,
Hi.
In response, everyone in the room was stunned. Henry's mom looked at me, then at Henry. She could not help but cover her mouth and gently pushed me and Henry together.
I think we will be celebrating a wedding sooner than we think.
My mom immediately understood. She and Henry's mom had been close friends since high school. They exchanged a glance and both instantly knew what the other was thinking. My dad still looked confused.
What wedding did you finally get pregnant? Honey.
My mom's expression fell instantly, and she sharply smacked my dad on the head.
What kind of thing? Do not you know your own limits? I am talking about our two sons. They are getting married.
My dad finally understood. Henry's father had studied abroad and held very open-minded views. What we would once thought would be a difficult hurdle was surprisingly accepted by both sets of parents. William chuckled.
Ever since he was little, I have noticed Henry acted differently. He always stuck close to Daniel. He would bring home so many gifts every year. When I asked once, he accidentally let it slip that they were bridal presents. I jokingly said his offerings were not very generous. How could any family agree to let their child marry him?
Henry's face turned unusually red, suddenly remembering he had not even prepared this year's bridal gifts yet. Curious, I asked,
Henry, what are you planning to give this year?
Henry pulled me outside and put a helmet on me. He rode the motorcycle. I sat behind him holding his waist tightly. And as we passed along the coastline, a deep red sunset seemed to follow us. The free air filled me with joy. And after we stopped, dusk began to fall. I did not understand what Henry was planning. But suddenly lights started flashing one after another. The light wrapped both of us in a glowing aura. And distant buildings began rolling the message.
Daniel, I love you.
Across their screens, people hiding in the shadows stepped forward, friends we both knew. Kids who grew up together in our neighborhood. Everyone who knows us stood here, witnessing Henry's heartfelt declaration to me. Henry opened his arms wide and gestured for me to look.
This is my final confession. Everyone in the world knows I love you. The only one who does not know, Daniel, is you. My feelings for you have never been hidden. I want you to know them clearly now. From the very beginning, I have never cared what anyone else thinks. I love you, just me. And they can all confirm it. I hope my courage can give you a little strength, so we can keep going together, all the way to the end of our lives.
Looking at those familiar faces, I could see they all knew about this carefully planned moment. Henry knew about my hesitation and fear, so he chose to guide me through the depths of my own worries. It was he who helped me realize that the one afraid of not being accepted was only me. I held Henry tightly, my eyes welling up with tears. Thank you, Henry. Fireworks lit up the night sky, shining in dazzling brilliance. The falling sparks of fireworks streaked across the sky like shooting stars. They filled me with hope and a vision for the future. Henry gently kissed my forehead. He took out the ring he had prepared. At its center was a blue diamond, surrounded by smaller gemstones. This ring had been passed down from Henry's mother to her daughter-in-law. My mom once told me about it. This ring symbolized the approval of the Ijai family's parents and Henry's heartfelt intention. Daniel, will you marry me? I wiped away the tear from my eye and nodded.
Yes.
Maybe. I should have given this answer a long time ago. Amidst a shower of streamers and joyful cheers, under the glow of firelight and dancing shadows, my silhouette blended with Henry's. From this moment on, I am truly united with him.